Shalom. To wear a mask or not to wear a mask? That is the question. We're constantly hearing from the U.S. government that wearing masks during this supposed pandemic is not beneficial. That, in fact, it could do more harm than good. I have to think that there's something suspicious and all around sinister about making statements like that. Because when we look at their reasonings for it, it doesn't really add up, especially when you look at other countries where the virus has run amok, like China and Italy. All you see are people left and right wearing masks. I doubt it that their governments are telling them that it's bad to wear masks. But only in America do we have the government, do we have the media telling you not to wear a mask. I find that very suspicious. And their reasoning for it, let's break it down. Number one, they say that if you're wearing a mask, you will periodically feel like you have to readjust that mask. And that will consequently cause you to have to touch your face. No, what it will cause you to have to do is touch the mask, the outer portion of the mask, in fact. You know, the portion where any contaminants are pretty much trapped in the fabric, thus preventing the air that flows through, from being contaminated. So it really doesn't matter if you touch the outer portion of the mask, because the air that's going to travel through that mask into your nose and mouth will be filtered out by all that fabric anyway. I never heard of someone wearing a mask who has to readjust the mask that touches their face while they're readjusting the mask. It doesn't make any sense. If you're readjusting the mask, you are touching and moving the mask. So that is reason number one, debunked. Reason number two is that they tell you that it will do you no good. Well, tell that to all the emergency personnel who are treating patients infected with the virus daily who wear those masks. You mean to tell me they're doing that just for cosmetic reasons? All those doctors and nurses who are wearing the N95 masks, that are wearing the P100 masks, you mean to tell me that's just for costume, that's just for show? It's not actually protecting them from anything. Obviously, that is not the case. Obviously, the masks are effective at protecting people from airborne particulates that could be infected with the virus. So that's their reason number two, debunked. They do protect you from the virus when it's airborne. Like after someone has coughed, after someone has breathed heavily or something. After someone has sneezed. Hell, it even protects you from the smell of someone who has farted recently. So that's reason number two, debunked. Reason number three, and this kind of correlates with reason number two. They say that if you are wearing the mask, just by you wearing it, you're taking that mask away from one of those healthcare professionals, one of those emergency responders who needs a mask. So, if the mask does no good, why does it matter if I'm taking away the mask from one of those healthcare professionals or emergency responders. If the mask does no good in the first place, it didn't do any good for them. So what does it matter if I'm wearing them? So that's reason number 3. Debunked. And I have to say, one thing that they do say, they say that, well, if you're wearing a mask, it's good if you are sick because it prevents you from spreading the virus. Yeah, I would assume that would be the case, but you got to understand what these people are trying to do when they say things like that. They are trying to create a stigma when they do that, when they say that. They're trying to create a stigma that anybody who is wearing a mask, in other words, anyone who has told them to go fuck themselves and is not listening to their dumbass advice, they want those people to have to be given the stigma of being plague carriers by the brain dead masses. So basically, a brain dead person who listens to this garbage coming out of our media, out of the mouths of our elected officials and what have you, when they see someone who is not as brain dead as them walking around with a mask, the first thing that they're going to think is, oh, that person must be infected. When in reality, they are probably the people that are infected. You see? So they're trying to create this stigma of people who are being safe, who are doing what's necessary to preserve themselves, as being the people who are sick. This is evilness of an unprecedented scale. This is the kind of wickedness that if I think about it too long, the only thing I would pray for every night is to see this damn planet explode. Just to get rid of this wickedness from the universe. I mean, this shit is sick. The only thing I can think of that the true agenda is behind giving out this ass backwards information and trying to create this stigma of people who are acting safely, who are trying to prevent themselves from catching anything as being the sick people. The only reason I can think of for them to do this is for maximum carnage. They want this, whatever it is, to spread as much as possible. They want as much carnage from it as much as possible. As the body count mounts, these people cheer because they know it makes the whole event that much more devastating. It makes the whole event that much more chaotic. They want maximum chaos. They want maximum panic from that chaos, so that their measures that they have already worked up, they've had these measures worked up probably for years now, so that they will receive the least amount of resistance to those measures, because people will just be scared. They'll be afraid. They'll want something done, anything done. They'll be willing to sacrifice anything. That's the only reason I can think of behind them giving out this ass backwards information. Information that I debunked within 5 minutes. It really is sad to see this type of shit going on. And the only thing I can hope is that our people, I'm not too concerned about the Gentiles because, they've always took care of themselves, but it's our people that I'm concerned with. Our people who may be really caught up in this stuff, and they're looking for answers, and they're looking to these morons on television pretending to be reporters and media personalities, and they're looking to their representatives and everything. And this is the kind of information that they're getting from them. This is the kind of advice, that they're getting from them. It's sad. It really is disgusting. And what are the plans that they have in store? What is it that they hope to accomplish via this pandemic? What is it that they want people so afraid of? Why do they want people so afraid? So that they can give up something. For what purpose? Well, I mean, it's been said many, many times, and it's good to see that people have picked up on this. That the main purpose is basically you submitting, relinquishing, basically what remains of your rights, relinquishing your rights over your own body, allowing them to do whatever they want to you. Now, in I think in my last video, I was talking about them pushing eventually. They will push for not mandatory vaccinations, but mandatory testing for the virus. And I'm seeing that they have streamlined the testing. They're making strides to make the testing as easy and as widespread as possible. See, that's the first step. Once they get it as widespread, once they get the ability to test people as quickly as possible and as widespread as possible, one report I saw said that they're working on a test kit that will allow you to be tested at a local, maybe like your local doctor's office, and it'll bring back results in like 5 to 15 minutes. So you go get swabbed real quick, in 5 to 15 minutes, you'll know that whether or not you were infected. So this is the first step. That is the first step to eventually making testing mandatory. By removing all the fuss, by removing all the problems and everything, by making it as easy as possible. Now you no longer have any reason to resist it. It's widespread. You can go up to your local Walmart and get tested. That's exactly what they're going to push for. Once they got it as widespread as possible, next thing you know, it will be mandatory. Because this virus, just like any other virus, is very susceptible to high temperatures. They do not thrive well in warm climates. And that right there should have you thinking about where is the true origin of viruses. We've been conditioned to believe that hot African and jungle climates are where the viruses come from. But the fact of the matter is viruses thrive in colder temperatures. They don't thrive in warm, hot temperatures. So that's something to think about right there. But as the temperatures start to drop, as we start to go into fall and winter, this thing is probably as the temperatures start to rise, as we start to go into spring and summer, this thing is going to go away, just like the flu would, just like the common cold does, all of which are viruses. So we'll see a let up during that time. But the issue is this: when fall comes back around, in other words, when flu season starts back up, when cold and flu season starts back up, we'll see a resurgence of this. And it will be during that time that we'll probably get a whole lot of propaganda about not enough was done last time to completely wipe out this thing. So now we have to do even more this time around. We have to be more vigilant this time around. We have to be willing to sacrifice more of ourselves this time around to really wipe this thing out. And that's why I think next cold and flu season, when the C virus returns, that's when we will also see the implementation of mandatory testing for the virus. That's when they will deploy that, because by that time they will have these new quick test kits all over the place. You'll be able to go, like I said, you'll be able to go to your local Walgreens, your local Walmart, your local doctor's office. Hell, you might even be able to mail order your own test kit and send it in. You'll be able to do it just that easily. So it'll be widespread everywhere. And they'll say there'll be no reason for you not to get tested. It's just a quick swab of your nose, and within 5 to 15 minutes, you got your result. So that's when we will see the mandatory testing come around. It will be during the next cold and flu season. And then from the mandatory testing, if you are found to have the virus, that's when you will get the whole mandatory vaccination. See, these two things will probably pop up at the same time. We'll have the mandatory testing, and then we'll also be given the revelation that there is a vaccine now. This will all probably be next cold and flu season. We'll have the vaccine ready to go by that time. You know, a whole lot of media hype around that. And then the testing will be mandatory. And then again, like I mentioned in my last video, even if you don't have any symptoms, they'll just say that you are one of the asymptomatic carriers. And I would go out on a limb and say that probably 75 to 80% of slave descendant black people, i.e. Yisraelites, who chose to get tested, who went ahead and got tested, would somehow miraculously show to be positive for the virus. Probably 80 to 85% of us. Hell, maybe even more than that. Hell, probably 100% of us. So, you just got to understand what that's all about. They want to inject these chemicals into our bodies. They just need a reason that they think we'll believe. That they think we will believe, that we will buy, to allow them to inject these chemicals into our bodies. And this is the reason, the fight against the virus. Well, at that time, I would certainly hope this also, or another thing that would be happening, is that this whole country would be on the verge of a civil war. Because certainly there are going to be a lot of people who will not play along with any of their mandatory anything. And that right there factors in to the scripture and the prophecies of the Tanakh. That's what we should look forward to. We should not look forward to the defeatist mentality that is put forward via the prophecies and predictions of the New Testament. I can't tell you how many You can just tell that you're reading the comment of a Christian. Reading the comment section on a bunch of other videos, you can just tell when you're reading the comment of a devout Christian in regards to this pandemic and the concept of martial law and things like that. You can tell when you're reading a comment from a devout Christian, because it's going to go simply like this. Woe is me, I'm going to die, and then I'm going to go to heaven with Jesus. That's pretty much the summary of everything they say. They talk about the FEMA camps and how we all going to get drugged away to the FEMA camps and then we're going to die and everything like that. And it's like, okay, and is that something you're looking forward to? And yes, they are looking forward to it, because going by their prophecies, that's exactly what it says will happen. It says that they will die because of being followers of Jesus. So that is what they're thinking. They're thinking that, this is my time to die. When the camps come and they start executing everybody, that's my time to die for Jesus. So yes, they are actually looking forward to death. That's how you know you're reading the comment from a devout, brainwashed, defeatist-minded Christian. And the funniest thing about the Christian, and I'm surprised they haven't caught up on this one yet. They seem to be all too willing to die without putting up any fight for the sake of their idol. Yet, they were all too willing to kill other people for the sake of their nation. How many Christian warriors enlisted in the military following September 1st, 2001? Well, September 11th, 2001. How many of them, following that event and told that they were attacked by Muslims in a far off country, how many of them ran to their enlistment center ready to kill? Yet, when that very same government has them in the crosshairs, they're more than willing to roll over and die, because they think that is prophecy being fulfilled. I'm surprised they haven't figured this one out yet. Now contrast that to the Tanakh. It's a very easy contrast. It's night and day. You kill those who are trying to kill you. It's simple. It's an eye for an eye. It's a tooth for a tooth. You are not serving the Most High by rolling over and dying. You are serving the Most High by upholding his commandments. And you can only do that if you're breathing. That's the difference. And now we understand why Christianity was beat and whipped and tortured into the minds of our ancestors. Quite simply, is to take the fight out of them. And just as it did that to our ancestors, it's doing it to these Gentiles of today. They ain't got no fight in them. all these infringements, all their rights being trampled on. You don't see them fighting. You don't see the Christian soldiers and warriors coming and taking the fight to the government. No, they're just rolling over, saying woe is me, and then they're ready to be taken off to their camps and be killed. Well, so be it. Shalom.